Hi, everyone, and welcome from Northeast Bylines. We're very, very excited to have been part of the Newcastle Fringe in terms of reviewing some of your amazing shows. And now we're going to be announcing some of the fantastic winners in various categories, which I'm going to, in a few moments, going to hand over to Ben to do that bit. But just before we do that, I'd like to read out something from Julie Ward from Northeast Bylines, who's been really involved with the reviewing. She can't actually join us today because she's traveling, but I'm going to read out what she sent to us. So I'll do that right now. This is what Julie says. Dear friends, artists, producers, venues, and fellow citizens from Northeast Bylines, I'm really sorry I can't be with you for this exciting award ceremony. I'm on a mega train journey from Weimar in Germany all the way home to County Durham, and a Wi-Fi connection is not reliable. To be honest, I needed a break after the intensity of seeing and reviewing 8 shows from Newcastle Fringe, but there were more than 100 shows in the programme, which is mind-boggling for our small city, and I don't think between us we could hope to cover them all without a superhuman effort. We did our best, and you can read our reviews online. I hope our comments are helpful, even if sometimes we were a bit critical. Fundamentally, we are grateful for the opportunity to create this partnership, giving wider visibility to the cultural sector, helping it to thrive in difficult times. The range of events and genres was hugely impressive. Theatre, puppetry, variety, comedy, stand-up and sit-down, spoken word, music and more. There were new, young and emerging performers and old hands like Caroline Duffy. What a coup to get the former Poet Laureate to give a reading in the Old Coal Yard. So much more atmospheric than London South Bank or Edinburgh's Book Festival. Some performers were en route to or from other festivals, proving we are a perfect stopping off place for Edinburgh Fringe thespians. Thanks to all the Newcastle Fringe venues for accommodating the weird and wonderful, to the staff and volunteers for front of house and behind the scenes, to all the producers and performers, and to all the audiences, and to the hardworking team of volunteers at Northeast Bylines. See you soon, Julie Ward. So that's a message from Julie, and I'd like to just add from me, we're absolutely delighted to have been part of the Newcastle Fringe, and I'm going to hand over to Ben now for the awards.
Thank you, Yvonne. And I should say, just to make sure we're properly introduced, so Yvonne is our editor-in-chief of Northeast Bylines. Northeast Bylines is publishing well over 100 articles a month by everyday citizens, writing about lots of different things, including reviews of culture on this. And we as part of a national network of 10 UK national and regional publications, are now being read by nearly 500,000 people a year. So doing this kind of work is something that we are really proud and privileged to feel to be asked to do. And I want to say thank you to the team at the Fringe Festival as well, particularly to the artistic director, Ali Pritchard, who approached us and said, would your citizens like to give a citizen view on these pieces of work? I was kind of like, do you think citizens are really, who do you think should do this reviewing? And he said, I think the voices of citizens matter more. The voices of everyday people who come to see stuff matter more. So that's the place we're coming from. And our review team was very diverse, wasn't it, Yvonne? Came from quite different backgrounds, different experiences, but some fantastic reviews and work. So they also wasn't quite blood on the carpet, but it did take a little bit of working to get to winners. We were asked to come up with one. We've rebelled in the style of all good citizens and chosen 4 winners in 4 different categories because there was so much good work. So I'm going to tell you what those awards are. I'll give you the title of the thematic title of the award, the category, a bit of the reviewer's story about why this piece of work we think was excellent and stood out from other stuff at the festival, and then I'll reveal who the winner is, and they will appear magically on your live stream screen. At the moment, they're all hiding away in the background. So our first award is for new writing theatre. And here's what our reviewer said about this piece of work. They said, this was a show about the shared experience of grief, set against a backdrop of a quite beautiful soundtrack. The performers began seated amongst the audience at tables displaying collection of letters. And in between reading the letters, they have conversations grappling with the conflicting emotions that each is experiencing. Their discussion of death and loss moves from the bewilderment they felt as children to more philosophical and abstract explorations of the subject. They pose questions that sometimes they answer, and at others they simply leave the audience to think about. Do children experience grief in the way adults do? Why is a child's grief often seen as less valid by adults? Is it okay to be angry at those we've lost? Can we joke about death and grief? The show has touches of humour punctuating the conversations, and it lifts the mood momentarily, while outbursts of raw emotional anger elicit shock from the audience. The reviewer said this was a performance that felt authentic and poignant, and the delivery was emotionally powerful. And when looking and recommending this piece, the reviewer said that they'd been a teacher for 40 years, had significant personal experience of grief, and this show left an indelible mark on them as a piece of work that they'd seen that really captured some of the complexities of grief that they felt. So if you saw any of the Fringe, you might have already guessed what this is. If you haven't, the winner of the Bylines Northeast Award, Reviewers Award for the Newcastle Fringe Festival for New Writing Theatre is Gemma Webster B and Victoria Zakis-Smith for Letters to Grief, which was seen at the Cumberland Arms. So if they can now appear on screen, you will be able to see them.
Hello.
Hello. Congratulations. So this is the point where we should kind of hand you a trophy magically, but we don't have one to hand to you yet.
Oh,
so there you
it's
go. We've handed it across. But we'd love to hear what's happening with the show, what other things you're working on. Tell us a little bit more about where things are at now.
Well, after we performed, me and Victoria were talking, and it was sort of brought to our attention from speaking with the reviewer that this is sort of like a look on grief that isn't really about for younger people. There's a lot of help for people who are 25 plus, because that tends to be when your significant griefs happen. But there's not really much for younger people, especially children. So we're looking to change it and workshop it and look at bringing it to schools across the north. I'm currently based in the northeast, and Victoria is based in the northwest. So we're going to try and cover an area and just bring it to schools and start the conversation with the people who probably need it the most.
Fantastic. Anything you want to add, Victoria?
Just that it was a really good experience because we've both not performed for quite a while, so we were just dipping our toes back into it, and now I think we can create something really good from it as well, so that's really nice.
Fantastic. And congratulations on winning the award. It was hotly contested, the new writing bit, because there were so many bits of relatively new work that our reviewers had seen. But Kim, who did the review, her pitch for yours was so impassioned that the other reviewers just relented and went, this is a fantastic piece of theatre and it should be championed more. So I really hope you managed to get it to the places you want to take it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, let's move on to the next one then. So our second award, by all means, stay on the screen then, or if you don't want to, that's fine, but we'll see others now. So our second award is for cabaret and comedy. And our reviewer said for this, that they were in a packed house upstairs at the Cumberland Arms. They saw a performer who would soon be on their way to the Edinburgh Fringe with a box of magic tricks, a fake moustache, and an old-fashioned gramophone. The stage was set for an evening of mind reading and necromancy, with the expectant audience open to welcoming in the spirits under the expert direction of the performer, who had us holding hands, gazing into each other's eyes, playing musical statues, and finding our spirit animals, amongst other things. The reviewer said that the performer had made a special study of Victorian and Edwardian popular entertainment and is one of the top exponents of this, they believe, in the country, with an endearing tongue-in-cheek approach. During the hour-long show, you were treated to several truly amazing mind-bending and mind-reading feats, whereby audience members became unwitting assistants, conjuring up dead celebrities, sometimes choosing the hug card instead of the kill card. And when one of the more odious spirits decided to drop in and start moving the furniture around, no one was surprised. The reviewer described it as a truly extraordinary evening, brilliant, funny, classy magic, and mind reading. And so the winner is, the show title is Touched by Spirits, performed by the great divinator, I hope I'm not mispronouncing it, also known as Katie Tranter, seen at the Cumberland Arms. And say hello, Katie, and your producer as well.
Hello.
Hello. Congratulations.
Hi. Thanks so much. This is very surprising and exciting, especially as I know I don't live in Newcastle anymore, but I did live in Newcastle for 10 years between about 2012 and 2024. Okay, that's 12 years. And very much the seeds for this show were very much sown in Newcastle, and very much supported by Let's Circus and Circus Central. Circus Central now no longer exists, but they were both key in sort of putting me, gently guiding me towards this path. And yeah, I've just taken it up to the Edinburgh Fringe. Julie's absolutely right. It's really convenient. The Newcastle, you can do it on the way up. That was really good because I have a lot of friends and community in Newcastle still, so a lot of people turned out to support me. So having a lovely, warm, energizing show like that really supported me going up to Edinburgh, because you get to Edinburgh and it's scary and it's difficult and you're flying every day and it's hard work. So that was really, really wonderful to have that support, and it's a real honour to be part of Newcastle Fringe, having lived there for so long and seeing it really flourish and become a place people want to perform. And moving forwards, it's just going to keep developing, so it'll be on tour. If people didn't catch it at Newcastle Fringe, it'll be around. It's very much a long-term project that I'm just going to keep developing and chipping away at. So thanks so much to everyone at Newcastle Fringe, yourself, Ben, and Ali, and everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for the show. I mean, I don't think Julie, who was your reviewer, couldn't have been more excited about giving you an award. She felt it's been, real recognition of your individual work, but also she just thought the show was absolutely amazing, and she was trying to persuade the other reviewers that they should all go to Edinburgh to see it straight away. So I think you may have had some audience from us there, and thank you for joining us from the car as well. That's kind of much appreciated, joining us on the road. This is what artist life is like, right? Literally traveling from one place to another.
Yes, especially in the summer when it's it's the first time that I've had a solo project of my own like this, and that Yeston has helped me produce.
Hi, Yeston.
And yeah, Yes is there as well. This is my partner and helps my technician, my co-creator, my my flyer, my marketing team. So yeah, it's busy, and I just wanted to also say congratulations to all the other winners, and especially my friends at Made by Raccoons. It's lovely to see them do.
No spoilers. Never mind.
I said nothing.
That's all right. We'll all pretend we didn't hear it. Thank you. That's brilliant.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Katie. Thank you. And just, it's probably worth saying, Yvonne, here a word about kind of Newcastle and the venues, just as we're halfway through the awards, because there are some really exciting venue spaces that were used for the Newcastle Fringe. And in that opening remarks there that we shared from Julie, who can't be with us today, is probably our lead reviewer on the festival, there was a reference to some of those venues. I just want to pay tribute to the people who run those venues, who make sure there is a thriving independent music performance and art scene across Newcastle. And they were quite large scale venues, or quite high profile venues, like Dan City in some cases, but also rooms that have been converted upstairs in pubs and independent theatres and so on across the city as well. So it's a really, really important part of life that we want to write about as citizens in the Northeast as well, to recognise those venues and spaces. So moving on, we're on to our third award, and that is our music award. So I will read what the reviewer wrote about this, which is absolutely lovely. It's a description of the event, the gig, and some of the songs in it as well. I'll try really hard not to have any spoilers as we go through. So this was a night of music, quotes, rooted in a craggy northeast landscape, with dynamic and power that made the whole much bigger than its constituent parts. An excellent evening's entertainment with beautifully crafted songs about people and places, sung and played with real feeling. The opening song was about playing music, with some brilliant interplay between fiddle and melodeon, followed by a heartfelt ballad about home and humanity written during lockdown. Actually, a number of the pieces that our reviewers found most impactful had something that connected to lockdown in them. And another song followed that was a tribute to those who stand up to injustice, sung passionately with a compelling melody. Then came a song about coming home from war, poignantly called Bonnie Lad after the key character in the song and the words that they used to describe other people. Another tender, heartfelt ballad, followed by a piece in 3/4 time about Wallsend Memorial Hall, which had a lovely interplay between singing and fiddle and a dance hall type theme. The second half began with, according to the reviewer, a few beautifully played tunes without the main star of the show, no spoilers, before they returned with an idealistic song about people coming together during the pandemic with the line, "Take me to a place where there are no cold-hearted liars." How much we all dream for that. Next, a number about Josephine Butler, a social reformer from Northumberland, which had been written for a musical about her. And then Tiny Little Shoes about the travails of parenting, which got the crowd singing along, as did the last song Inspire Them to Do, titled We Burn, about how we burn with grief, with love, how we sing high and sing low. What inspired the set? Well, the main performer of the band stopped to tell our reviewer, "My songs are all about story, telling about people, places, landscape, and celebrating those places, finding beauty in the mundane." And that is a really accurate description, said the reviewer, of what they experienced on the night. A fantastic night of music. Our reviewer had never seen this music performed before. I imagine there are people watching this who will have done. So they were completely and utterly blown away and couldn't recommend this more highly as the winner of our music category. And that winner is Katie Doherty and the Navigators, seen at Alphabetti Theatre. Hopefully you're still with us, Katie. There you are.
I am. Thank you very much. That's absolutely beautiful to hear that read out, Ben. Yeah, it was a lovely night at Alphabetti. We hadn't been there for quite a while. In fact, we hadn't played in the centre of Newcastle for quite a while, so it was lovely to be back. Small, intimate spaces where we can see the whites of the eyes of the audience are our favourite. Usually, we tend to get smiles from them by the end of the gig. So yeah, it was fab. Really enjoyed it. We've got a couple of gigs coming up. We're back in the Northeast in October. We're playing at the Watch House in Cullercoats,
Wow.
which we've played at before, but really looking forward to that because it's a lovely space and similarly intimate. And then we're up in Kendal, also in October, at the Staveley Roundhouse, where we've never played before, but apparently that is a gorgeous little theatre up there. So looking forward to that. And you mentioned the song that that was inspired by Josephine Butler. I have written a musical called Josie, which I am hoping will open the back end of next year. And that is with Novo Theatre, who are Northumberland-based theatre company. So fingers crossed for that. Yeah. It's lovely to see everybody today. I'm not going to say any names, but thank you so much for. We haven't had an award for quite a while, so it's been lovely to receive one. And thanks to all the reviewers for getting around all of those shows. What a brilliant thing Newcastle Fringe Festival is, and long may it continue. And we hope to be part of it in the future as well.
Brilliant, fantastic. Oh, it's nice working with professionals where you don't even have to feed any more questions. It's almost like we primed you there, Katie. That was all the follow-on questions I had answered in one go.
That's the nerves. I'll just keep going.
Oh no, it's spot on. The Josephine Butler show has been in the making for quite a while, hasn't it? I know it's really exciting. It's a really important bit of often unwritten and unspoken history of the Northeast, and an incredibly important figure that doesn't get enough recognition, which keys in so much to what we try to do at Bylines Network and Northeast Bylines, is giving the unheard stories, the unheard voices, their time to shine. So I'm sure we can help promote and talk about that back into next year. So end of 2026, you think?
End of 2026, all being well, but you know what it's like, Ben, with all the funding issues.
Definitely.
So fingers crossed, it will happen at some point. Like you say, it's been in development for a long time, but these things take a long time, and it's nice to have had the time to do a long development, and hopefully it will be all the better for it. So yeah.
Yvonne, let's get an interviewer to do a preview and talk to Katie about the show before it comes, and then hopefully that'll help with some of the funding as well if we shout about it a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, brilliant.
Moving on to our last award. So, award for is for the specially created category, visual theatre and puppetry. There were quite a lot of puppetry shows and visual theatre shows, but we hadn't planned on having a category for that in advance. But there were a number of shows that felt really worthy of recognition that are in that general genre. And this particular piece is a really good one to finish on these 4 awards, actually, because it talks very much to the heart of many of the people that are in Yvonne's team, writing for or editing for Northeast Bylines. We have about 2,000 writers across the country, and many of them are motivated by some of the themes and topics that this show covers. So here's what our reviewer said about it under the visual theatre and puppetry category. They said, "This is a beautifully crafted puppet show with live music, inspired by the Portuguese Carnation Revolution, demonstrating the power of art, poetry and song to offer a call to action for ordinary people to stand up against fascistic regimes. We are invited to follow the daily routine of a puppet figure who lives under the watchful eyes of a dictator in a country where certain books and songs are banned due to their left-wing political ideology. But the words of exiled and jailed poets cannot be silenced. They are carried on the wind like birds or butterflies, reaching the ears of those who long for change. The appearance of a book with a red jacket creates excitement, but carelessness risks imprisonment, and we watch as our little puppet friend is deprived of liberty and locked away for reading seditious material." My God, there are so many places in the world that this feels familiar to right now. However, the revolution is unstoppable, and more people come out onto the streets, releasing political prisoners and placing carnations in the barrels of guns. And here's the thing, this actually happened. The show is inspired by the Portuguese Carnation Revolution, a bloodless coup which took place in April 1974. The show uses words and music of prominent Portuguese musicians, including, and I can be corrected if my pronunciation's wrong in a minute, Jose Afonso's song Grandola Via Morena, which was used as a signal for the revolution to begin when it was played on public radio. The reviewer said, singled out the melodeon playing by Frankie, puppetry by Joe, for the fantastic, excellent work they thought was of some of the highest standard they've seen in a puppetry-driven production. They said the show was a parable for our troubled times and a reminder that we all still have agency, no matter how hopeless we might feel. And that show is Tales from Our Revolution, produced by Made by Raccoons, and we have Joe from Made by Raccoons here to talk about it. Hi, Joe.
Hello. Thank you so much. This is absolutely great. I started the show a while ago with a very small pocket of funding from Curious Arts. But as a company, we've only been operating since I think February. So it's it's very, very strange to be an award-winning company after 3 months, however long it's been. I'm not good with time. Thank you so much. This show was very kind of emotionally motivated for me because it was all based on my mom's stories of living through this. And the presence, we see so many stories about the big revolutionaries, but I really wanted to highlight the importance of everyday people, and the importance of that you help one person out and that person helps one person, and that's actually what builds and creates political change. And yeah, I just drank from all of those stories. Even the story of Zeca Afonso and José Mário Branco is very particular because they were both living in Paris, exiled, and they kept making these songs and sending them into the country, and they had no clue where the songs went. And when the revolution happened, their songs were very, very emblematic and were used throughout the revolution and were part of what created a sentiment that everyone was in it together. I think it's very easy to, as an artist, feel like you don't do enough politically, or you don't know, all I'm doing is doing these silly puppet shows. And it was in a certain degree a show to comfort myself, really. And to remind myself that these things do have importance. And it's really, really lovely to be recognized. And thank you so much for the award. I look forward to receiving it in the post.
Yeah, here we go. There it is. Yeah.
But yeah, and it's been glorious. We got a nomination for Best Show as well from Newcastle Fringe, which was a big surprise because it's not often something that puppetry, usually it's like it gets nominated for kids show or it gets nominated under its own category. It's very rare to have it compete with the big boys of non-visual mediums. Yeah, thank you so much. I don't know if you have any further questions or anything you'd like me to talk about.
No, thank you for the description of it as well. And well, I hadn't quite realized that you'd only been formed just a few months before the festival. So yeah. Wow, double recognition from the festival. That's absolutely fantastic. I suppose that other question is what's next for Made by Raccoons?
What's
This show,
next?
the show as well. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a week. That's the first thing. We've got numbers of bookings from we do a lot of walkabout theater as well, so we've got a number of bookings for that. And once I've gotten my head together from this, I'm going to be definitely looking at going to puppet shows, puppet festivals, folk festivals as well, because a lot of them look for kind of different programming that isn't just folk, but is folk based. And obviously the show's entirely scored throughout in accordion, guitar, and harmonica. And maybe try to get a small tour, but that depends on the kind of support that I have by that point, because I have very limited ability for producing. I mostly like playing with toys on stage.
I'll find you a producer as task. Well, I'll say this on a live stream because then I can't forget it, particularly as it's a recorded live stream. But our directors of our organization, 4 directors, 2 of those are also directors and founders of Byline Times, who organize the Byline Festival every year. And I think that your show might be something of interest as one of their bits of entertainment. I mean, they had very radical comedians and political performers and musicians as part of their entertainment lineup this year, for example, it held at Keele University. So I pledge on this live stream in front of whoever's watching, whether it's 1 person or 1 million people, that I will speak to our directors and recommend that piece of work to them, because I can see how it fits really perfectly with that. And what you said about, and Yvonne, I don't know if you want to come in here, but what you said about the stories of everyday people that get lost in those big situations, I think that's what we're about, isn't it, Yvonne? I think that's very much what you try to do in with your writers in Northeast Bylines.
Yes, it really is. I totally agree. I haven't really got anything else to add to that, but yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, I think that probably brings us to the end of this time. I can say again how grateful we are to have been given the opportunity for our reviewers to see so many shows and review them, how exciting a thing it's been, how much we'd like, I'm sure, Yvonne, to do it again if those opportunities in future years.
Definitely.
And to say thank you to the artists, the creators, and the organizer of the festival for the amazing program that was put together.
Yeah.
Not only is some of this work not heralded, but a provincial city like Newcastle that sometimes is overlooked and forgotten to have this quality of work in it, where our reviewers found it so hard to choose winners from in one go over a few weeks in July and August in the summer, is just a fantastic thing. So we're really proud at Bylines Network and at Northeast Bylines to have been involved. I suppose one last thing to do while we're on awards and prizes, to say that there will be another live stream in 12 days. I think it's 6 o'clock on the 27th that we'll be hosting, where poets Ian McMillan and Kate Fox will be announcing the winners of our inaugural national poetry competition. I can tell you they've chosen their winner from hundreds of entries, but I'm not going to tell you who it is, because we're trying to avoid spoilers as much as we can. But by all means, join us on that live stream in 12 days' time. We'll advertise it around. And until then, thank you all. And thank you to those who we've seen and given awards to. Thanks to Yvonne. Thanks to Newcastle Fringe Festival. And see you all again soon. Bye-bye all.
Bye.